Kira and you're watching Polymer Clay TV, and today I decided to do a chevron background veneer and make a fun little mermaid themed polymer clay trading coin. Let's get started. So this is a new color of souffle called cornflower, and it's a little bright for me to use straight out of the package, so I just took a little bit and I'm going to mix it into some Primo white. And then I've got this color that's been lying on my desk that's kind of like a blend of some light colored soufflés. So I'm going to mix this into the other chunk of white that I have just to get a sort of off-white and a lighter blue, and I'll be back. I've got my two colors and I've blended and conditioned them and rolled to a number 2 on my pasta machine, and now I'm going to make a little stack. Press them together gently and get a nice sharp straight stiff blade is best, and cut off the raggedy edges. Make them into a little block, and now we're going to stack them. So I'm going to cut this in half and stack it, and then in half one more time and stack it again. And this is the beginning of a very basic striped cane. But what we're going to do is use the striped cane to create the first layer of this chevron veneer. So we're going to very carefully take slices off of here. Again, make sure your blade is strong, sharp, and straight. And I'm going to just lay these out. No backing sheet. When you put them next to each other, make sure that you are butting up the right color. So you want the colors to alternate. Try to make your slices as even as possible. You can use a cane slicing machine or just, practice. And try to get those seams stuck together at this stage with your fingers. Just keep doing that. Once you have a sheet made, and you try very hard to make sure that you're pressing those seams together, we're going to roll gently a little bit with an acrylic rod. And then we're going to pick this sheet up off of our table or work surface, keeping it together. And now I'm going to take this to the pasta machine just one time in this direction. If you see anything pulling apart, try to press it back together now. It's important that we don't use a backing sheet with this layer of clay because of what we're going to do to it next. We need to be able to see the front and the back with the stripes. In fact, I think my sheet is holding together well enough and pretty much all the same thickness because I've been rolling it. So I'm not even going to take it to the pasta machine because that might cause some of the seams to spread, and I don't want to have that happen. So what I've got now is a sheet of backing clay. This is just scrap clay, a bunch of scraps that I rolled out to a pretty thin setting, about a number 6 on my machine, just to set it to the side and use it for this next step. So what we're going to do is turn the clay to about a 45-degree angle. To yourself, just to make this easier. And then we're going to use that blade and start cutting a piece of clay, and we'll put it down over here. And then the next piece we're going to flip direction. So we've got, it came off of the cut like this, and we're going to flip it over. So those stripes are going the opposite way, and lay them down over here on the backing sheet next to that piece of clay that came before. So each cut I make, I'm going to try to keep them roughly the same thickness, and each time it's going to get flipped and laid next to, well, really every other one gets flipped. So this is the one that gets flipped, and it gets laid down over here. You want to try to keep those pieces tight. And every other piece is going to flip direction to create that chevron effect. And then you just line up the stripe colors and press them together. Let me see if I can zoom in on what I'm doing and show you. So from here on out, you just watch the direction of your stripes as you line it up and stick it down on that piece of base clay next to the piece that came before it. And before you press anything down tight, just make sure you're lining everything up. And as you build this, your edges are probably going to be raggedy, but you'll get a nice chevron in the middle. Okay? Once you have enough clay laid down for the project that you think you want to make, we're going to start melding these together. So you want them to stick, and you want those seams to close up, so you can use your fingers, your rod. Another great way to do this is to take a piece of deli sheet and lay it over the top so that you can really burnish this down without having your fingertips get in the way. So you can really rub the seams together and get everything stuck down really well to that backing sheet of clay. So spend a few minutes on this part. Once you have burnished it and you can see that the cracks are not separating anymore, you can go over it a couple times with your acrylic rod. And now this right here is your veneer. Chevron veneer. It's a layer of clay that you can use to decorate with. So I'm going to go ahead and punch out a circle to use for a trading coin. And I'll have plenty left to make some jewelry or other art objects with, and you can just save this in that same piece of deli sheet. It's a good way to save your veneers for later. So to me, these colors are nautical, and so is the pattern and fun. So I'm going to use my pistachio souffle and my scales texture mat and create a little mermaid tail and have a little fun with it. So this looks nautical to me, so I'm going to use a couple little fun things to make it into a fishtail themed trading coin. So I have some nice fresh pistachio souffle clay. Love that bright green color. And probably don't even need that much, just a little bit of clay. And I'm going to press it on my scale texture mat. And then maybe mix this little bit with some of that blue, but not make a complete mix. Just kind of swirl and mush it up a little bit. Make a little fishtail. And I actually have this little rod. This is like a threaded rod. Thought it might make an interesting texture on here that I can highlight with some powders. So I have my Summer Brights pigments, and I think I'm going to just use this blue on my finger to put a little color here and highlight the middle of the tail. And then just because I'll use some shimmer shifts that are so fun to put a little more, because I'm a bling person. I like my bling. So these work really well in the oven. They'll just bond right onto there. They don't lose their color. But they do fly around a little bit. My ceiling fan is on, and just that little bit is kind of causing them to move a little bit. So just watch out for that. You don't want any fans on with this sort of leafy metal flying around. And then I've got some star cabochons left over from a Create-Along box. And how I like to use these hot fix is by dumping some into the cap, and then I use my crystal catcher, which is like a wax tipped tool, to pick them up and place them where I want them to go. And they are hot fix, so they will stick in place in the oven after baking. So you just have to make contact. So there it is, a fun little nautical fishy themed trading coin. I'm just gonna fix this part of the tail. I want it to come in like that. Okay. Here's my finished coin straight out of the oven. Look how fun that is. That was cool. I enjoyed making this. So this chevron background is a really cute veneer to use if you want to do waves or something fun and light. If you want to make jewelry, you can make it even smaller and tighter by just varying the width of your original stripes. You can make them much smaller than that. So have fun with it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Polymer Clay TV, and you'll come back next Wednesday for a new veneer in our 2019 Year of Veneers. See you next time!